Back to Simright Fashion Academy YouTube channel once again. Today is going to be the making of an asymmetric blouse. Okay, so the blouse you are seeing on the thumbnail right there is asymmetric, but you can see that the right hand side is fully off shouldered. As you can see, the normal off shoulder, and the other parts we have an arc sleeve attached to it, running all the way from the waistline to the center back. Okay, so now I'll be drafting this to show you. This is a subscriber's request, so I decided to make this video to show you how to go about the drafting. Okay, so if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this each week. Like this video, share to family and friends, and drop your comments on the comment section as well. So you can see I have my asymmetric bodies already. I have my full bodies. Okay, so if you have been following this channel, you will notice that whenever we want to make asymmetric, we'll have our full bodies drafting everything completely, because the neckline is not the same. So for this side is fully an off shoulder, which you know. So this off shoulder now, I'm going to off it by 5 inches. Okay, I'm going to come down by 5 inches. So it all depends on what you want. You can also do 4 inches. It all depends. So like that part right now, I've offed by 5 inches, and this is my starting line. So this is my starting line right now. So the next thing is to create the neckline. The starting line, which is the neckline. So we want to create the neckline right now. So to create the neckline, I'll simply come from the center front, and I'll come down by 1 inch, so I'll be able to connect my neckline accordingly. So I'm connecting my neckline with my pattern ruler. You can see how I'm doing that. So I'm using the curvy part, and I need it to get to this point because the neckline we are having there is somehow rounded. Okay, so before we start this tutorial, we've already done what we used to do on this channel before we start off our drafting, which is dividing your shoulder seam line, connect it to the bust point. Okay, so this is the bust point part. If you don't know how to draft a basic body, please visit our basic bodies drafting on this channel. So this is under bust point, as you can see, and the part I have here is my chest line. So I've taken my bust radius. You can see where my bust is sitting. So that is to say that what I have on the neckline is far away from my bust. Can you see? I have 1 inch plus, okay, before my neckline. So I'm good to go on that part. All right, so like I said, we'll finish on this part, then we'll jump onto the other part because it's asymmetric. So I'm going to contour my upper bust that now I've gotten my neckline. So here I'll come in by 0.75. Here I'll come in by 0.75. Like I always say, this works perfectly for everybody and contours your bust very appropriately as well. So we are cutting off all of this. Okay, so coming over to the under bust. For the under bust, I will take my under bust circumference, divide by 4. This is what I have on the mark. So whatever thing I have remaining here, I'll share 0.25 here, and the remaining at that point. We've been doing this on this channel, so I believe by now, if you have been following this channel, you know why we are doing all of this. And if you are new to this channel, please watch other videos so you'll be able to understand what we are doing right here. Okay, we upload videos on this channel every day, so you can go back and be watching so you know what we are doing here. So I will cut off this dart, as you can see. So we are done with this part. I'm not replacing anything because many a times soulmates keep asking, why don't you replace? For shoulder, for off shoulder soulmates, for all shoulder, you don't replace any upper bust dart. okay, for off shoulder dresses, because normally for our off shoulder we normally use, if there's no that, we normally use our shoulder divide by 2. That is from here to here. My shoulder divide by 2 is 7.5. From the center front, you can see is 7.5. So I will take away 1.5, okay, 1.5 from it to connect my new armhole off shoulder. That is how off shoulders are drafted. But since we've already taken it away on the dart, so there won't be any need to replace any dart. So now I will do what? Slant my ruler to connect my off shoulder sleeve. You can see this is how off shoulders are connected. Please don't go by this. This is how off shoulder sleeves are connected. So we are done with this part. It's a simple off shoulder. So on this part right now, we want to talk about what we have on that part. So now I want you to note that I said it's asymmetric. The reason is because of the way you see the arc go up the sleeve, the shoulder. So I'm going to extend the 5 inches which we offed, okay, and I'll be connecting my neckline, because that neckline went like this. If you look very well, you can see this is how the neckline is connected. Once you get to the center front, it went like this. Can you see? All right, so now I've gotten that. The next thing I want to do is to create that yoke. There's a yoke attached to it, of which the arc that runs from the waist is resting on. So that arc is running from the waist like this, okay. So it's going to be from here, from the dart leg, and it runs and rests on this line. Okay, if you want to make it more curvy, you can also do this on the neckline. You can do this, okay. I'm just trying to make it more curvy, so it has that curve. Can you see? You can do this and come down and do this. Can you see that? So I just created a curve, more curve, so that it will have that curve as it is on the thumbnail. So now it's time for us to create the over bust dart, to tighten the upper bust dart on this line that meets the neckline. That is where under bust are being tightened. Can you see? So I'm still taking my 0.75 and I'm going to connect it directly like this. Okay, so this is what I'm going to cut off. So I want to create the yoke. Okay, so the creation of the yoke, I'm using the distance from here, that is half of my shoulder seam line. So from here to here, that is what I'm using. In fact, I would say these are my yoke. Okay, so this yoke will be attached back to this. You'll be using your Ankara fabric, so it will be able to carry the arc. Okay, so I will come over here for under bust tightening. So I'm repeating the same thing I did right here. Immediately from the center front, I take my under bust and whatever thing I have, 0.25, and the remaining I add here. So make sure you place your ruler accordingly, because your ruler placement is very important when you are contouring. So I'm done contouring this and we are done right now. So I'm going to cut off this before we proceed to the arc drafting. So for the arc drafting, like I earlier said, the arc is going to rest right on this. Can you see? It's going to rest like this. My ruler now, I'll use it to form the arc. Can you see? So it's going to be sewn on top of this to the end. All right, so what does that mean? It means I'm going to take the measurement of what I have here on the waistline for my arc. So on this line, can you see? So if I place it on this line, I have 16.75. So I'm going to write it down, 16.75. that is 16 3/4. That is what I'm going to have for the first arc. So if you are drafting the back bodies, of course you are not drafting the back bodies in this tutorial, but if you are drafting the back bodies will still have these 2 inches coming from it on this side. Okay, so it connects directly. You see where to attach this, and it's going to run all the way to the center back. So it means you'll be taking your center back measurement the way I took it for the completion of this arc. So for the front I have 16.75. For the back, whatever thing you have, add it up to this. That is what we are going to use to draft that arc right now. So I'm going to cut what I have now. This is the bodice pattern. So like I said, this bodice pattern has a yoke attached to it. So this is the yoke, as you can see right here. So I'm going to cut on my shoulder seam line and cut on the yoke. I just want to cut out this yoke for you to see. So I'm going to keep this yoke. That is what we are going to sew here to enable the arc rest. Okay, so I'm cutting through my bodice drafting, and this is the part of our off shoulder. So like I earlier said, the part that has the yoke, you use your Ankara fabric. You need a strong fabric for it, so it will be able to carry your arc. Okay, the arc is going to rest on it. You'll be sewing the arc on it. So what I'm doing now is cutting off F1, and I'm going to close up my bust dart of F1 like this. Okay, so once that is done, I'll also come here, cut off this dart. So the whole of this front, like I said, is asymmetric. You are going to spread it like this as it is and cut and add your seam allowances. So I'm cutting off the second one. Okay, so I'll also close up my bust dart. Okay, all right, so now I call this F1. I call it this, all of this F2, because I'm cutting it like this, and this is F2. So I'm going to quickly close up my bust dart right now. Then we'll proceed to the drafting of the arc. All right, so I come in with my adhesive and close my bust dart. This is my bust dart, so I just close it up, as you can see. And I'll come in for F3. I also close up my bust dart. Okay, so now this is what your pattern looks like. Can you see? This is what your pattern is going to look like before you cut. And I have this. You'll be sewing this from here. After you must have joined this and this, then this one comes from here. Okay, you must have joined this together. So you start from this armhole line to mark. You can see this part will be your normal off shoulder. You sew it normal off shoulder, but I want to say something on F1. So once you sew and this one comes in like this, you can see you can make a mark, a notch. Okay, so I'll just make my mark. This is where I'll make a notch to where I will start sewing. Now you can see this is a full sleeveless. This part is sleeveless. The arc is going to serve as a sleeve. So since it's sleeveless, sometimes you notice that part might be too open. So this is what you do if you feel that part will be too open. As you are drafting, right there on your drafting table, just reduce your armhole, apply your adhesive, and then put in the Can you see that? So what I'm doing now, I want to reduce the armhole so it's not too much. So this is how the yoke was before. So I will just come this way on the, you can see how I placed my ruler on the side and come up from that point. Then measure 1 inch. So that part is not too open. So I'll just keep my pattern ruler like this. Can you see? I'm just keeping it from that, creating new armhole line. Okay, I'm just creating a new armhole line. So I actually want this armhole to continue concurrently like this. Okay, so that is what I'm actually looking for. So now I'm going to cut, and this is what you have at the end of the day. So you notice your armhole here is not too deep, okay, at the end of it. That is by choice, but if you want, you can still leave it to run as your normal armhole. Okay, so as it is, just make sure it blends. Okay, I just want to blend it a little to look okay. Okay, so it does not get deep. Exactly, this is what I'm looking for, and I got that. So by the time you join this and this together and match up this, your armhole continues like this, and you take off your seam line and your armhole lies at that side. So right now we'll be drafting the arc. So to draft the arc right now, so for the drafting of the arc right now, I have my baseline. That is the first thing you need to do. So remember, we took the measurement of our front arc as 16.75 from the dot line on the waistline to the shoulder. So I'm going to transfer the 16.75. I'm transferring it all the way from the tip of my pepper, and I'm going to mark 16.75. This is it right here. So at this point of 16.75, I'm going to make a perpendicular line. So this line I have here, that is the tip of the arc. So the arc right here, I'm going to measure my arc at 6.5. So I have 6.5 as my arc. So now I'm going to blend this arc. I'm blending this arc into the starting point line. This is my shoulder line, and I'll call this my front bodies where I measure the arc. This is my back bodies. So I'm pretending I've already measured my back bodies. Okay, so once you draft, make sure you extend this line as the measurement of your back bodies. So from this shoulder line, I'm going to take my measurement of 6 inches once again, and at that 6 inches I'll come up by 3.5. Okay, let me do 3.5, so we'll be able to get the exact shape of that arc. So this is it, and at the end of the pepper, which is the starting point on the waistline, I'll come up by 2 inches. So I'll make a straight line at 2 inches. So what I have from here to here is 3.5, and from here to here is 2 inches. So now I'm going to use my pattern ruler now to shaping my arc the way you see it on the thumbnail. You can see that. So once I've shaped my arc, I'll continue this way. I'll continue this way, the way the arc is. And then I'm going to blend it. You can see how I'm keeping my pattern ruler. I'm blending it like this. Can you see? That is the arc we have right there. So I'm going to place this on fold. This part now, I'm going to place it on fold. This is my fold sign. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'll first of all place this on fold on this shoulder line. Okay, make sure you place it equally so your cutting will be equal. Okay, so I placed it on fold right now. So the next thing I'll do is to cut. I'm cutting everything, including the measurement of the back. Remember, the back has been measured. Okay, but in this tutorial I don't have a back bodice, so I'm not talking about the back. But this is what you do once you have your measurement of the back. So now I open up my arc, and this is what I get. Can you see? So that means your back bodice should continue if you take your measurement accordingly. All right, so I'll be placing this on the dress form now because we have come to the end of this tutorial. So I will place it on the dress form for you to see how it's going to rest on the bodies of this dress after you are done making this dress. Okay, sewing your off shoulder parts together and sewing this part together and attaching your yoke to it like we've demonstrated. Next, the last thing you are going to do is this arc. And for you to produce this arc, you need to use your collar stay for it to stand. If not, it's not going to stand. Use your collar stay and stay it your Ankara front and back as your lining and fabric as you desire. So the straight part of the arc, that is what I'm going to invert it. Okay, this is how it's going to be. It's going to run all the way from here at the shoulder. This line is the shoulder line, so I'll place it all the way from here, and it's going to cross like this. Can you see? So I'll place this particular pattern. I'm placing it on the dress form so you see exactly what we are talking about on this arc. Okay, all right people, so this is exactly what we have for our arc for the front. So you can see where I placed the arc. I just placed it exactly on the shoulder line. Okay, and I passed it through that line just as it is on the thumbnail. Okay, so for you to sew this arc, you don't need to close the sides. I repeat, you don't need to close the sides. You have to place, join your shoulder seam at that point and spread it apart. Spread it apart just as we did in the last tutorial when we stitched our sleeve, our flange sleeve. So you spread it apart and sew your arc on that line. Once you sew your arc on that line, you can now proceed to the closing of the sides of the bodies. If you close the bodies, you cannot be able to sew this. Okay, so you need to leave the sides of your bodies open. Okay, that is why I'm emphasizing that. So now you can see how the arc is placed, and the right side is our off shoulder. So make sure you sew your off shoulder, the dress, pad it very well, give it a good press before you sew this arc on it. All right, so that is how to go about this arc. Remember, you need a collar stay for it to stand. If you don't stay, it will not stand. All right, so thank you very much for coming to this tutorial once again. I believe you learned a lot in this arc tutorial. Thank you for coming, and see you in my next video. Bye.